Every step of the way, it's trying to make me make a mistake. Get rid of the dog hair. Looks like a Mr. T hair to me. Bugger it. What's going on, big guy? Is it almost your breakfast time and you're getting frustrated? So, last time we put together the bed assembly. This time, Captain Scrunch, you're going to take her, are you? Today we're going to put together the CoreXY gantry, which is where we're going to house the motors and the belts and all the gubbins that allows the X and Y movement of the extruder to be made. So, let's bash in some screws. I'm Chris. Welcome to Coding with My Dogs. So, we are on to the CoreXY build. Here we can see we need these few metal parts, rod holder left and right and rear times 2. Let's try and find those. Okay, so we are rod holder left, rod holder right, 2 M310 screws into them. Just a few turns for now in those 2 locations. So these are very nice little parts to go onto the XY assembly. Just a few turns for each. We barely even need the screwdriver, to be honest. And the same for each of the rod holder rears from the side that has this hole for the screw head. Oops. Yep. Almost made that mistake. So placing the CoreXY plate with this triangular bit in front and this cutout section to the right, and obviously with all the bits pointing upwards. And then we're dividing rod holder left and right. So the chamfers need to slope towards the middle of the part. That's our way of telling we got them the right way round. So this goes here. We've got this bit towards us. That cutout is on the right. And all of these sticking upwards. Put it down like so. So the chamfer's facing towards the middle for each of these parts. So they go in this vertical orientation. The chamfer across the corner. Secure it with 2 M3x6 screws. So we need to locate this into those various holes like so. We use the screwdriver technique again. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay. It's one in place. For this one, I'll try and put the screws in first. This chamfer goes over the corner there. not doing anything with the other end pieces yet. I guess that makes sense because presumably we need to thread some rods into them before securing them. So, okay, we are now going on to these linear holder left and right, XY carriage times 2, which is these ones here. The linear bearing times 2 here. Idler pulleys 4 times. These linear bearings have got some chunk to them. Look at those. Nice. This looks like the bad puppy. 1 XY carriage. What are these? They're not supposed to be out. Oh dear. Every step of the way it's trying to make me make a mistake. Take 1 XY carriage. Use the beveled side as a guide. Insert idler pulley. 1 M318 screw through the pulley, tighten it completely down. Then we turn it over and do the same from the other side. So each of these, as is common with the CoreXY printer, has 2, one for the upper belt, one for the lower belt. And then repeat the same procedure with the second XY carriage. Let's do that. So we take our XY carriage, we take our pulley, put it through like so. Now obviously the screws are coming in from this end and they are screwing into plastic, so we can't put too much torque into these. That's to go through the printed part this side. Still a way to go. It's starting to come through. This takes a while. Okay, just feeling a slight resistance there. You can see it's come almost to the surface here. Importantly, the pulley turns. So that's one done. We turn it over. Where does the other one go? Into this little corner by the looks of it. Okay. Whoops. What I will do, just actually the pulley, there's a little sort of indent where the screw comes through. I was just wondering, just to hold things in the right place, just to put the screw through enough so it's just starting to poke through so I can feel the pulley locate over the top of it. Just there. Is it already too much? Bring it back a little bit. So same deal again, just keep it going. Could do with an electric screwdriver for this. I've got one, but I don't think it's powerful enough for this sort of torque. My screwdriver is only good at small torque. And there we go. Flush with that side, and the pulley turns. Linear holder left. XY carriages. Nice. Ah, Captain Scrunch! It's not quite breakfast time yet for you. Linear holder left. We've got one of the, what do you call them? XY carriages. And these need to be secured to this using the M318s. Like so, very nice. Give it the final Tyson. Looks good. We attach the linear bearing from the other side. Okay, so it mounts this side. We attach from the other side using the M48. M38 screws, I should say. Some of you may remember the state my gummy bears were in from the first episode. Luckily, I found these sugar-free gummy bears on Amazon, and they must be pretty good because there's loads of reviews. And because they're sugar-free, I can eat as many as I like. So it's a win-win situation. In the previous section, we spent a lot of time messing around with nuts. In this section, it's going to be all about the rods. Let us do what it says here. We need to position this CoreXY plate as shown. We need to lift it up off the table slightly so that we can put these carriage assemblies roughly in that place. And then obviously the next step, the rods are going to come through here and then the rod holders at the other ends. We need to place these, and I'm just trying to work out, can we easily see and identifying left or right on the part? I don't think we can, so we need to work out from the documentation what the orientation is supposed to be. I think this is the right one because it's going to sit over like that, and this is at the front, but let's just double check in the manual. This perspective is a bit weird because it almost looks like this is flat that way, whereas it's flat that way. But that means that those protruding bits should be towards me and obviously at the bottom. So that means that this is the left-hand rail. This is closest to me, and that can go over like so. And then this is the right-hand one. And can go over like so. So we need the two 325 by 10 millimeters, so slightly shorter, slightly wider steel rods for these. So slide both rear rod holders onto both 10 millimeter smooth rods. Line up the ends of the rods. Push both 10 millimeter smooth rods through the LM bearing to the front rod holders. Okay, so obviously we're putting this one on the end. We're going through that loose linear carriage into this section at the back, and then making sure that it doesn't protrude any further. It should be flush with the back of this. So that's taken from this angle here. At the moment, it's not saying to do up any screws. I guess that comes in the next stage. Yep. So one at a time, we put these end assemblies onto the rod, and then the rod itself goes through the linear carriage and into the rear rod holder, and not protruding out the back of the rear rod holder. So let's do this. Here's one of our 10 millimeter rods. It's the rear rod holder. Looks to me like it can go either way around, but okay, make sure the screws on the rear rod holders are pointing out of the frame. So if I'm doing the left-hand one, we want it to be like so. Now I'm pushing it through this bearing. And through here, just so it's flush with the end, like so. Same here on the other side. And that's nice. So we've got a screwdriver in on this side, and we're fixing in the M3x6 screws. Slightly tighten it that side for the start. I'm just going to take that out because it's going to snag us otherwise. Give it a bit more of a tighten. And then again, just checking that we are flush there, which we are. Let's get this one back in and tighten it up. Nice tight grip on our rod there. Same on this side. It's feeling a bit, it's not in the right place. Dear, I really struggle with these. No. Okay, it's going to be one of those. Take that out. Screw in that side. Put a locating screwdriver back there. Make sure this isn't twisted. Yeah, that one goes straight in. So try again for this other side. Yeah, I think we're there now. Yep. Give those both a good tighten. Our rod has moved a little bit. So make sure you double check that this is still flush with the end before tightening this one. It isn't, so let's get that back there. It's a little bit loose on a little bit loose on this side, so just want to hold it in place whilst I do this up. Nice. And next, I would imagine we are going to be tightening the rod holders on the other end. We are indeed. Only tightening the top screw, i.e. the one the rod is actually in. We are flush here, as expected. Adjust this screw needs to go in. Nice tight grip there, and same on this side. XY motor mounts. From the printed parts box, and we need that squealy little tool again. XY motor mount left, XY motor mount right. Okay, they're actually different looking parts, but this is the XY motor mount right, as far as I can see, as far as I can tell. And then this is the XY motor mount left. It's not just symmetrical copies of each other. Inside our electronics and fasteners box, which is box number 2, we have small parts and fasteners. Oops, can you see that? Small parts and fasteners, big bag. And from inside the big bag, the small parts and fasteners, small bag. Tipping that all out like so. There's a ball bearing that wants to run away. That's going straight back in the bag. There were supposed to be 3, but there are only 2, which is lucky because 2 is what we need. Okay, I've just put away the electronics and fasteners package, but now it needs 6 idler pulleys from there. So I'll go and find that box again and take it out again. So we are using this tool to insert one pulley, then one of those spacers on top of the pulley, and then a second pulley, right? Then we drop them into the top of the motor mount assembly. Okay, so we're holding our little tool like so. Taking one pulley, insert it into this section here. That's nice, it just clicks in. Now take our little washer. Try and locate that into a little hole. Okay, needed a little bit of a positive click in there. And then we can slide in the second pulley like so. Oh, there we go. That's very nice. So we're now taking our right motor mount part. You slide in here like so. I'm going to try and get our screw through. Like so. I think we just want to make sure we don't jiggle this around too much. It needs to be the right place on the other side, and hopefully the screw should just automatically go in the right direction. Now we're screwing into plastic as it says, so we need to put a little bit of pressure onto that side. Make sure it goes in there, and obviously we do not want to over tighten that. That's about it there, I think. Let's unclick this. Ooh. It's not too easy to take that off, but there we go. Let's put the light above, just see if I can see. Yeah, I think we can just see it coming through in the right place there, and they move freely, and that screw head is flush with the top of the part. I will call that a success. Okay, next up, same part, we are putting another pulley into this corner here. And we can just put that in by hand. There's no washers or anything to go with that. And the M318 screw goes through there. M3NS nut goes in that side. I don't recall there being a request for there to be a nut. Ooh, there was. M3NS nut. There we go. So, okay, let me just get that nut out. Okay, so this one needs to go in here, like so. It's secured by the M318. Slightest bit of resistance there, and again that's flush. Pulley spins freely, and finally we need to insert a nut there. Like so, and then just use a little screwdriver just to make sure it's come all the way down, so it won't cause us problems when we're trying to insert a screw there. So let's just double check this is exactly the same for the left side. So putting the pulley in, putting the little washer in, and putting the second pulley in above. Then they get dropped into the top of the motor mount, secured by the M330 screw, and then we remove the tool. Following that, we're putting in the third pulley and securing that, and there's no square nut for this one. Okay, same process again. In with the pulley. A little washer goes in there. Like so. Second pulley above. And again, we are dropping these into our motor mount. M330 screw goes in. Oh, that's nice. All the way. Just a little bit of pressure there. They will spin freely. Final pulley goes in here. And now M318 to secure it. position for the screw, which is not. Just back that off a little bit. Okay, looks like it needs to go towards the back there, like so. So I'm giving it a bit of pressure just toward, so like 45 degrees in towards the center of the part. Okay, that's clicked into place now. So yeah, we need these printed parts. We've got the belt tensioners left and right and the belt tensioner pulleys. So step one here, we take the belt tensioner pulleys and put one of the square nuts into each of those here and here. And then it's saying to keep them in this orientation so the nut doesn't fall out, I guess. So here's the belt tensioner parts. And these are our little pulleys. So we need to put in the square nut there. And on the other one, these are identical. And then keep them in this orientation. Tweezers. Pushed in like that. And then just make sure it goes in just a little bit further. Use one prong just to make sure it is aligned so the screw goes in easily. Same for this one. Oops. Maybe not. Get in there. You bad boy. In you go. Okay, nice. And then we keep them in that orientation. So it's saying we need to put some lubricant on the tip of each of these screws around the entire thread. And then having done that, we're sliding that tensioner into this assembly. Okay, so that's interesting. So it looks like this slides in and presumably that M330 screw is going to allow us to tighten and loosen this up against the tensioner assembly so we can basically use that to apply the tension. Okay, so interesting. So they're saying they have trouble with this particular part, and this seems like there's a replacement part that has a brass insert. And it's recommending that having finished the printer, you print that out and then replace this part. Yeah, if that turns out to be an issue, maybe I'll do an addendum video to show how to do that. But for the moment, I'm just going to follow the steps that it shows here, and I need to find that grease. Yep, here it is. It was in the electronics and fasteners package. Go you bears. So we take these two. Make sure I get the right ones. These are the M330s. So Prusa grease pack. Just put a little blob. On the end of each. I've actually found one of the cut zip ties that I can use to just spread that all the way across the screw threads like so. That looks nice. Okay. So we take the belt tensioner left. Slide it on to this, keeping it upright. Take one of our screws. Feel like it's going to lose all its lubrication just going through the plastic part of this hole. But anyway, that's it there. I'll take it about halfway up. Sorry if it's coming out of view there. I'll take it about halfway up. So it's got room to go in each direction. Put that to the side. I'm assuming that we will then do that for the other tensioner. Oh, okay, so saying do not tighten completely, 3 to 4 turns are sufficient. So let's just back that out a bit again. Just wait for it to come loose and then I'll just put it in as they suggest, 3 to 4 turns. I guess the point is you want it as loose as possible initially when you put the belts in, and then you tighten. Yep. That makes sense. So that's loose. Two, three. And it is still secured. That's fine. Excellent. So it's saying the next step is to actually insert the pulley, but I'm going to just skip ahead and, because I've got this pre-greased screw sitting here ready to go. So I'm just going to skip ahead and do this one, and then we can go back and do the pulleys in each of these. I think that makes more sense, to be honest. Put it through there, makes contact. 1, 2, 3 turns. And it is secured. So next up, we are putting this pulley into the tensioners, and then the screw goes through this middle, through this right-hand side of that little pulley holder, like so, and that's the M318 screw. So there's no pre-cut thread in the plastic, so we just need to tighten it until we get slight resistance. And then in this part, we're putting the M312 into the tensioner left, tighten slightly, 5 turns are enough. It must not protrude through the other side. This will later be used to adjust the door sensor. Interesting, okay. So it's just to the point where you can see it there, but not, just to the point where you can see it there, but not actually protruding out of the part. So put our pulley in place. Put our M318 through. Just let it seat until we get some slight resistance, like so. Make sure the pulley turns, it does. And then our M312 needs to go in there. Let's do it this way so you can see what I'm doing. Doesn't seem to want to start through there, does it? Bugger it. That's got it, I think. Let's just turn it until we can see the head of the screw start to come through. But not protrude, like so. And the pulley goes into this one in the same manner. Get rid of the dog hair. Looks like a Mr. T hair to me. And same again. That still spins nicely. So there's our two tensioner assemblies. Okay, so we need to collect these screws. We need the tensioners that we just made, but also it looks like we need those motor mounts as well, but we've got all those ready anyway. So we have to locate the corner of the CoreXY plate that has this earth connector on it. And then we're taking this motor mount that has this protruding piece at the top and the single pulley at the top. And I guess that's going to go okay, so it goes underneath. And then that protruding piece comes into this little square cutout. And then we're securing with this M3/6 screw. So locate the corner, position the motor mount left as shown. Note the rectangular protrusion on the motor mount left and rectangular cutout on the CoreXY plate. Slide it underneath, ensuring that protrusion fits in the cutout, and then align the holes in both parts and secure them with an M3/6 screw in this specific hole here, the one that's nearest to the earth connector. So here are our two parts. They both have the protruding piece at the top, but notice that this one here, the two pulleys are in the bottom and the single pulley is at the top, and then this protruding section comes out on the left-hand side here. So this is the one that we need for this step, not that one. We're aligning with this cutout here, here. That looks good. Make sure our screw holes align like so. And we are securing it with the M3x6. Oops. And that looks good. And now we're looking at the motor mount right. We're doing the same thing by the looks of it. Rectangular protrusion here and here. Sliding it under and making sure that that protrusion lines up like so. And then securing it in this bottom of these two holes using the M36. So same deal. Just lining up these. Underneath like so. Make sure that hole lines up. Doesn't necessarily seem to. Okay, that's fine. M36. What's going on out there? What's going on, Captain Scrunch? I know. What's going on, big guy? What's going on, big guy? Is it almost your breakfast time and you're getting frustrated? I think that's true. So turn the CoreXY assembly upside down so that the bent parts here face downwards. Oh, Mr. T, just because Captain Scrunch came in for attention, you've come in for attention too, huh? And you're waiting for your breakfast as well, is that right? Okay. Replacing the belt tensioner left assembly on the front left corner. Align it with the front and inner side edges. Line up the holes in both parts. Secure with two M330 screws. So M330 screws going down through these. Yes, Mr. T. M330 screws there and an M318 screw there. So specifically, it's the part that has this little screw in it, which was for the door sensor, I believe. So this part here, if you can see that well. So this is going onto the front left. The front left specifically has this little dimple in it that the front right doesn't have. So we know we're in the correct place. And these are the three screw holes that we're heading for. Putting the part over the top there. So lining the front edge and that inside edge that you can't see. So this lined up with the front edge here, this lined up with this edge at the back. And you know what I'm going to do next. If it'll fit through, which it won't, that's a shame. Okay, well. So like so. Let's try and bring you around so that you can see. So it's located there. See if I can get the screwdriver onto it. We need a bit of light here, don't we? So, oops. That's all nicely located there. So hopefully this will just immediately connect, and it seems like it has. Taking out M318 for that one. Looking good. Captain Scrunch, it's half an hour before your breakfast time. So same again with the right hand assembly. So locate it with one screwdriver. Get our M330 in. And that made it look easy. So for this step, we need 6 M3x6 screws. We need linear rail beam. We need the linear rail itself. And you mustn't remove these. I don't think it says the reason you don't remove them, but the reason is that inside this sliding carriage on the linear rail, all of the bearings are effectively loose, all of the ball bearings. So if this came off the edge, all of those ball bearings will be all over your floor and you'll never find them again. And basically you'll be needing to order a new one. So yeah, it's vitally important. And, you know, because this is all lubricated and slides very easily, you only have to tilt it very slightly and it'll go flying off the end. So, yep. So we're starting off wiping off the lubricant. Then we're sliding the carriage into the center, lining up the linear rail with the rail holder, rail mount, whatever they call it. Linear rail beam. Line up the holes in both parts. We will use our screwdriver technique, I think. Insert and slightly tighten 2 M3 screws into the third holes from both ends, which is there and there. Here's our linear rail. so. A very goopy bag. Get that out of the way. And we'll just pick it up and use this to get rid of the packing lubricant. There's quite a bit on. So we need to line up the holes on this with these holes. And we are just loosely attaching it to the third hole from each end, like so. We are swapping the safety pins from the end to the one inside of the screws that we just tightened up. So into there. And then we're putting screws into these 4 places. Let's see if we can remove. It's quite greased up, this thing, so it's quite hard to actually grab it and remove it. But we are putting those into these holes now. It's easy to just use my fingers, to be honest. So that's that. Still just loosely tightening for the time being, it says. And there we have it. Okay, so now we're going to assemble the linear rail that we've just constructed onto the actual frame itself, I believe. Still telling us to keep those safety pins in place because we don't want all the bearings to run out the ends. So we're positioning the frame with the motor pulleys towards us, facing upwards, and then these about midway and obviously level with each other as much as we can. Probably need to put some foam or something underneath each end just to balance them a little bit, which we can do. Then we're attaching the linear rail from behind. So obviously the black part of it, the one with the screw holes, is going to be facing us. And we've got maybe 3 screws in each one to assemble. So I think we're going to be using the screwdriver technique for this. Actually, this balances fairly well as is, so we can probably just leave it like that. We don't need to put anything underneath it. Put our linear rail over here. So if we get our linear rail up in place, get our screwdrivers in place if we can, like so. So that holds it roughly in place. Got a screwdriver over this side as well. You can't see that's a bit out of frame, but I can only do one side at a time. You know what, in fact, it might be easier if I put this screwdriver here. I can access this screw a little bit more easily. So let's just take it. Hey, no, you don't. Let's just bring it in with the screwdriver here. Everything wants to move, which is a bit of a pain. Just get the first one loosely in place. Like so. I'll do the same thing over this side. Oops. Captain Scrunch! Have you had your brekkie? Hey! Mr. T! Mr. T! I can see you there. That's a good boy. Have you had your brekkie? Huh? Have you had your brekkie? Do you feel better? Do you feel better? Huh? That's a good boy. Very good boy. There you go. Okay. Daddy's finishing off this bit of the printer. Yes. And we can put the remaining 2 screws in there. Let's use the smaller screwdriver. It takes up less of the frame. Oops. Again, we just put them all in loosely to start off with. Okay, nice and tight now, this side. Working freely and not binding, nice. So that's the basic mechanism of a CoreXY gantry for a 3D printer. All that's missing now is belts and motors. So that's that in place. Next up, we are going to remove those safety pins. These can be removed now basically because there's no way that this can slide off the rail. We've now got these bits each end of the rail. If you were ever to take this off for any reason, obviously you'd want to then protect it. So you could just put some masking tape or something around it just to stop that from sliding off the end of the rail if that ever happens. So I found it easier just to remove these with my fingers. Just get your nail behind the little clamp bit. And there we go. In the bin. Next up, we need the bed stop rear assembly, 3 square nuts and 3 M38RT screws. And we're going to be putting 2 of the nuts into the assembly like so, and then another one there. So let's get those bits together. I don't know why it looked kind of big on that picture there, but it's actually, as you can see, it's a relatively small part. So that's all we need. And that bag is now empty. It goes in the bin. Nuts going in there, and there, and there. Wanting to twist. Okay. Sometimes you need the pliers for these, just to give it a little bit more force than you can get with the tweezers. There we go. It just needs to poke in a little bit if we can. There we go, that's nicely aligned. So we can put the screwdriver in and use a circular motion just to make sure that that's seated right in the middle so we don't have any problems when we try and put a screw through into it. Next one up here. That's nice. And the final one is this side. Bugger it. Now we are positioning the CoreXY assembly same way up as it was before. We want this triangular bit towards us. The bed stop rear goes underneath this, like so. So there's 2 of the holes that we've just put the little nuts into. One we're screwing into plastic, so that's fine. What I'll do, I'll start off with the screws into the nuts itself to get it secure, and that will help me when I need to put the final one in, which is screwing into plastic. So let's do that. So we have our prepared piece here. We're bringing it up under here. Let's use the screwdrivers. There's 2 holes ready as such, and I don't have my actual screwdriver for putting the screws in, so bear with me a second. Here we go. It should be lined up. Long screwdriver. There we go, that's in. These can go in reasonably tight because there's a nut behind them. And this last one may need a bit more convincing because we are going straight into plastic. There you go. Doesn't need to be any tighter than that. Right. So that's the core mechanics of the XY assembly done. I think that's enough for one episode. In the next episode, we'll be taking on fitting the motors and the belts, getting everything complete for this CoreXY assembly, and then wiring the whole thing up so that we have that main parts of a 3D printer completed. It's all getting exciting, isn't it, Mr. T? Anyway, if you like this episode, please click like or leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more, why not hit subscribe? And as always, thanks for watching. So it slides in place like so, and we'll be screwing into those 2 screw holes that we just put the nuts into. And then screwing into plastic for this final one here. Ooh. Uh-oh.